You're listening to Republic Broadcasting Network because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, where you'll find out what the Fukushima's going on.
Welcome to our show today. It is Monday, January 25th, 2021, start of a brand new week of politics, corruption, insanity, and whatever else is going to be going on here. We have a lot to talk about today. Mike is in our control room, twiddling the dials and keeping us out of trouble. And as usual, we're going to do news until I run out of news, and then we're going to open up the phone lines for your comments, questions, opinions, observations, and so forth. Okay, well, today Nancy Pelosi sent the Senate a single article of impeachment accusing Donald Trump of inciting the Capitol riot. This is the first ever impeachment trial of a former president, which seems like the whole thing is just an incredible waste of time until you understand the real goal here is to damage Trump so bad politically that he can never come back and be an embarrassment to the liberal agenda here. Republican lawmakers signaled over the weekend that Democrats may struggle to secure the conviction over this whole thing. First of all, it's hard to find where Trump incited anything, basically given on his, his speech was all about peace and everything, which is why we're seeing all these crazy articles out there saying that talking about peace is a code word for war. And it does take 2/3 of the Senate to convict Donald Trump, which means there have to be a total of 17 Republican votes needed. I personally don't think they're going to get it. In fact, there's an interesting little story from the Epoch Times where an increasing number of Republican senators are voicing opposition to even holding the impeachment trial against Donald Trump. And apparently 29 GOP senators have now spoken out against holding the trial and basically saying it's symbolic at best. But again, the goal by the Democrats and the liberals is to damage Trump so badly he dare not come back in 2024. Because if by some mechanism Trump were to regain the White House, he's going to be putting on those presidential brass knuckles and going after some. He should have done that 4 years ago, but that's, water under the bridge here. Now, the National Guard is going to be kept in Washington, D.C. until after the impeachment trial. They're concerned that the impeachment trial may trigger more protests, and it very well might. And hopefully they're going to have better accommodations for the National Guard than sleeping in a parking garage with one toilet for 5,000 people. So we'll see what's going to happen there. Senator Rand Paul is out there saying this impeachment is such a sham. Even the man who's supposed to preside over it refused. Now, under the Constitution, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court presides over the impeachment trial in the Senate of Donald Trump. But Justice Roberts has already said he doesn't want to have anything to do with it. And as a result, Rand Paul is saying, well, that would make it a completely illegal, illegitimate process. So it's looking very, very iffy. Meanwhile, Representative Maxine Waters is out there saying that Trump will take over legislatures, little towns and cities if he's not convicted for insurrection. So that's the kind of paranoia that we're seeing coming out of the liberal Democrats here. And she was out there saying he must be convicted in his impeachment trial to take away his power. I don't think so. I think given the complete fraud of the event, not to mention the fraud of the election, I don't think a conviction in an impeachment trial would really affect too many people's opinion of him. His approval ratings are still up there. Now, apparently, Donald Trump is drafting an enemies list of Republicans who refuse to support him. He is going to be running candidates against them in the primary. And I'm hearing mixed signals. One report said that he'd canceled his plan to create the Patriot Party. This article, which is coming out of Station Gossip, it says he's moving forward with plans to create the Patriot Party for the people. Now, apparently, 3 of the 10 pro-impeachment Republicans, including Liz Cheney, already have opponents for the primaries for the 2022 elections. Boy, they couldn't even wait to get up there and say, we're going to get rid of you people. Absolutely. Paul Craig Roberts had an interesting article come on out basically saying that the media destroyed America. And he says it did not take long for the lie machine to create the false news and fake narrative of the storming of the U.S. Capitol on January 6th by a white supremacist insurrection. And he cites examples from Bloomberg and various other, none of which really did happen. And, Trump was impeached by the House on the sole basis of this fake news story that he somehow incited this riot. And they're going to try and convict him on the basis that he somehow incited this riot, when we all know it was a staged propaganda inside job. Now, I'm seeing articles all over the place, and it's basically, they all come down to buyer's remorse, where those people who genuinely did vote for Joe Biden are having second thoughts here. So this article over in Deep State Tribunal saying it's much too late for the crying. But here we have, as President, moderate Joe Biden, he's emptied the ICE facilities. He killed the Keystone Pipeline. He celebrates abortion. He's destroyed women's sports. He's pushing critical race theory, and all in just 3 days' time. Another story, this one from UNS.com, basically saying, tell me why Americans elected Biden when everybody knew Biden did not represent them. Because who was Biden's base? Well, sexual deviants, pedophiles, Antifa, Black Lives Matter, illegal immigrants, feminist indoctrinated women, defense contractors, organized interest groups, and their Washington lobbies. Numerically, that base is very small. It is composed of the fringe elements in the country. So how did he get all those votes to put him in the Oval Office? Basically, Biden has given the bird to that half of the American population consisting of women in order to give special preference to a tiny handful of transgender freaks, or worse, fakes claiming to be transgender, but who are usually misogynist, taking pleasure from crowding women out of women's sports. Alrighty, a federally recognized Native American tribe is demanding Joe Biden's administration immediately rescind or amend a new policy that temporarily suspends new oil and natural gas leases and drilling permits on federal land. And finally, Biden did come on out and confirm that he's going to ban fracking on federal lands. Remember when Trump came on out and said Biden's going to do this, and the corporate media said, oh, Trump is lying. Biden would never do that. Trump is lying. Well, here we are, and it's happening. Over in New Mexico, where we are told they voted for his fraudulency, they're now in extreme upset because of Biden's 60-day suspension of oil and gas leasing. And they're already over there expressing regret. But again, we don't really know who did and did not vote for Biden because all of the massive fraud. All righty. Even progressive-minded Canada thinks Biden is going way too far. And apparently, Senator Mike Rounds is criticizing cancellation of the Keystone XL pipeline, and saying that, the oil that will go through the pipeline, would have gone through the pipeline, will just go to China or another country, or it'll be sent to the United States by rail, which is more dangerous than the pipeline. All right. Now, Hunter Biden, the same guy who got the $1 billion infusion from the Chinese communist, is now reportedly advising Joe Biden on China. And apparently, Hunter Biden created his CFCE firm shortly after his father was sworn in as Barack Obama's vice president, and has been running it for all the profit he can make ever since then. Another article that's coming on out from Zero Hedge. Apparently, Biden's 2020 campaign was backed by $145 million in what is called dark money, meaning the public will never have a full accounting of who helped him win the White House. This is coming from Bloomberg. And, this was dark money donations, a type of fundraising Democrats have previously decried. And combined with the $1.5 billion record-breaking haul, Biden's campaign called for banning certain types of nonprofits from spending money to influence elections, and any organization spending over $10,000 to benefit a candidate register with the Federal Election Commission, disclose his donors. They didn't specifically call on their own supporters to do so, however. Little kind of a double standard here. Story coming on out of the Gateway Pundit. Apparently, one of the first bills the Democrats are rushing to the floor of Congress is to lock in the current system of election fraud to allow them to steal elections in perpetuity. And apparently, they're passing a bill that will require all future elections in the U.S. to be run exactly the same as any communist regime in history, and certainly as this last one was done here. Now, a little bit of information. We've talked about this before. There is a list out of 2020 election fraud cases. There were 81 total, 30 still active. Not one single court has allowed the evidence to be presented. Not one. Which shows you the high degree of corruption that has just taken over the higher levels of the United States government. Not one court. Justice for nobody, certainly not for you, the voter here. Story coming on out of tabletmag.com talking about the new national American elite, and saying that the rising ruling class in America depends on having the right diplomas and the right beliefs. So if you're an art history major, boy, you're in with the in crowd here. Another story over at uns.com, Down the Path to Tyranny. And they talk about the prostitute propaganda of a white supremacist insurrection on Inauguration Day caused 26,000 National Guardsmen to be sent by states to D.C. to put down the Trump sedition, which didn't happen. It was all just another media hoax, and the National Guardsmen experienced no security incidents other than sleeping on the cold cement floor of a parking structure. And all of this is being done to pass a new draconian domestic terrorism bill, which will further erode your civil rights. Now, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is demanding a taxpayer-funded de-radicalization program, and basically to de-radicalize people on Donald Trump and on white supremacy. We're going to get all those white supremacists. And then she turns around and demands that Biden's concentration camps use 100% renewable energy. So outside of the walls of Auschwitz, you'll see the little windmills turning around here. Along that same line here over at Armstrong Economics, they're talking about the left's Stalinist purge of all of our freedoms. And of course, they're talking about what's going on in social media with Google, Twitter, and Apple, how Parler got shut off. They're still not up and running on their new servers. And, how Parler's owner and family had to go into hiding because of death threats. And now Google and Apple are basically shutting down any free speech they can under the pretense of anyone who voted for Trump is essentially now a terrorist. Meanwhile, over at Twitter, they're still being sued over the availability of child porn, and how they, according to Twitter's own official, child porn does not violate their standards. But talking about election fraud does. Over 78,000 Facebook and Instagram users removed for mentioning QAnon or militarization. And so it's a Stalinist purge. And at the same time, they're trying to crush out any other places people might go for free speech, like, Parler. Gab is still up and running, and so is VK. VK is going to be hard for them to shut down because it's located in Russia here. The director of Citizens for Free Speech, Patrick Wood, is out there saying that our First Amendment rights are being eroded by these technocrats. And he said free speech is hanging by a thread. The First Amendment is hanging by a thread. They are taking our country apart. Now, Biden is going to repeal the 2017 ban on transgender people enlisting in the military, possibly even today. It's part of his administration to roll back Trump's policies. I think it's a bad idea. It's going to be bad for military morale. And again, it's just going to please a tiny, tiny fraction of the population at the expense of everybody else. Apparently, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki was kind of rattled because a reporter asked about Joe's stance on abortion. Well, he's pro-abortion. In fact, he's a little later in our talking points, we've got an article where he wants to fund abortions in other countries. Guess who gets to pay for it here? Getting into COVID-19, this is a very interesting article, and it's a NOC report. And it's asking, can Democrats deprogram the pre-election COVID fear they instilled in the masses? Remember, this was being fanned up by Democrats to convince people to use mail-in ballots because the mail-in ballots were the easiest to alter and fake and steal the election with. Well, now they're finding out the propaganda and fear-mongering for the past year isn't as easy to reverse as they thought. It's not going to be as easy as saying, hey, let's reopen. They've hammered this fear of death into everybody's skull, along with the idea that President Trump and everybody who follows him are just inherently evil people. If you're wondering where you might get a vaccination in New Jersey, apparently 12 Walmart stores in New Jersey are going to be giving out the COVID vaccination. And apparently when Walmart gets the vaccine, in conjunction with New Jersey health authorities, the retail giant will join 6 mega centers and 200 other locations in the state. Here's where it gets really kind of interesting. Have you noticed how the rules are always changing and, oh, it's bad. No, it's not so bad here. Apparently, the CDC is introducing more lenient vaccine guidelines and says now it's okay to mix the Pfizer and Moderna shots. Now, before they were saying, do not do this, it would be a bad thing. Now they're saying, sure, it's okay. And despite recommendations for the vaccine to be taken 21 and 28 days apart, the CDC is now saying either shot can be administered so long as there is at least 28 days difference, which means, I guess, the CDC says you could wait 6 months. And I love this next story. You're going to love it too. Apparently, Dr. Anthony Fauci got his COVID vaccine and it basically floored him for 24 hours. So he got an adverse vaccine reaction from this vaccine he's pushing out on everybody else here. So Fauci is now a symbol of the harm that can be caused by this vaccine. Now, Merck is the first U.S. pharmaceutical giant to abandon their efforts at producing a COVID vaccine. And they basically, they had 2 experimental vaccine projects. The early data showed they generated little, if any, immune response in patients. Well, that didn't stop either Pfizer or Moderna, who are now saying, basically, if you get their vaccines, you can still catch COVID-19. You can still pass it on. I mean, it's, at least Merck has a sense of honor. All righty. Another little story coming on out, talking about the British variant of COVID-19. They're now saying it's probably a lot less infectious than first assumed. And Danish experts are saying the Kent mutant strain may be just 36% more contagious. So it's not the huge monster we were initially told it was going to be. Biden is going to ban travelers from South Africa after Fauci flip-flops on the deadliness of the new strains. Okay, we got to take a break for commercials. We'll be right back.
Is your property a financial burden and causing you grief? Have you tried to sell but can't find buyers? Or are you just too busy to sell your property? Don't worry, we have the right solution for you. We buy properties as is, with cash, close in 30 days, and pay all closing costs. Our service is ideal for property owners who are in pre-foreclosure, have high-end repair costs, experiencing financial hardship, going through costly divorces, are relocating, need cash for retirement, suffering family loss, or have tax liens. Whatever your situation may be, we can help you sell your property and get the money you need. If you own a single-family home or multiple family units, call us for a free consultation at 888-910-1037. That's 888-910-1037. Or visit our website at cachingproperty.com. That's cachingproperty.com. Sell your property fast and leave all your worries behind.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
Forced to carry his own cross while we drive nails in his coffin. You might say it is routine. It happens far too often. A decorated soldier, veteran of the war. Who would have thought that he would be among the sick and poor? The preacher man wags his head while the rich man turns away.
Welcome back to our show here, and a friendly reminder that Republic Broadcasting Network is continuing to keep the American public fully informed so that they can make good choices. And to do that, we need your continuing support. Obviously, we're very grateful to those of you who have already supported Republic Broadcasting. And for those of you who have not yet, may frogs come into your bedroom tonight and nibble on your fingers. Meanwhile, the postal address where you can send a check, money order, or if you prefer anonymity cash, is Republic Broadcasting Network, 2251 Double Creek Drive, number 302, Round Rock, Texas, 78664. The phone number where you can make a credit or debit card donation is 800-724-2719, extension 3. And of course, all of this information is located at the top of republicbroadcasting.org. The network thanks you. All right, so we're talking about COVID-19. We're talking about how Biden is going to ban travelers from South Africa after Fauci flip-flops on the deadliness of the new strains. And given that 80% of South Africans are black, people are already accusing Biden of being racist with this ban. Over at CBS, their medical director, Dr. Dave Nida, said that Americans should wear not one, but 2 face masks if they want to ensure full protection against COVID-19, which I think shows how much brain damage occurs just from wearing one mask. Either that or Dr. Nida has bought himself an interest in the mask making company and wants to double the sales and the profits. All righty. Over in Las Vegas, they're going to partially reopen the schools because there's been a rash of student suicides, according to a new survey, that just being kept at home all the time and not being able to interact with their friends or teachers, it's getting to be too much of them. So anyway, interestingly enough, the same teachers union that berated Donald Trump for reopening schools is now praising Joe Biden for doing exactly the same, even though the coronavirus pandemic is supposedly worse now than it was before. So his fraudulency has made the reopening of schools, colleges, and universities a key priority. He signed an executive order to support the safe reopening and continued operation of schools. Most of the schools here in Indiana are open. There's one they had to reclose because there was a COVID outbreak there. Over in California, there's an individual who's not been named, died just hours after receiving the COVID vaccine. It was in Placer County in the greater Sacramento area. And they're saying the incident remains under investigation. Okay, over in Switzerland, campaigners taking advantage of a unique provision in the Constitution. They've got enough signatures to force a national referendum aimed at stripping the government of its powers to impose pandemic-related lockdowns. They've got this group, Friends of the Constitution. They got 86,000 signatures that will require a nationwide vote to repeal the government's 2020 COVID-19 Act, which was passed last September. Okay. Over in France, Macron is threatening a third lockdown if the 6 p.m. curfew is unsuccessful. Apparently, Macron believes that the COVID-19 virus can tell time. And, France has an existing 12-hour day curfew, and they're hoping it will slow the virus infections. But if it doesn't, they're going to go back to a third lockdown. And apparently in Denmark, there's anti-lockdown protests. They're all across Europe, but apparently in Denmark, protesters torched a Dutch COVID testing center and an effigy of the Danish Prime Minister. And apparently the testing facility in the village of Urk in the Netherlands went up in flames on Saturday night, with its burned out shell remaining cordoned off. So people are really getting tired of this stuff. Out in California again, less than a week after Joe Biden's theft is completed, California Governor Gavin Newsom is lifting his widely criticized stay-at-home orders, allowing outdoor dining and salons to reopen again, according to a new report. Of course, there's a move to get him kicked out of office as well for his handling. Meanwhile, Governor Newsom promised months ago that the state's COVID-19 policy decisions would be driven by transparent data that would be shared with the public. And of course, that never happened. They're refusing to disclose the COVID-19 data on which their policy decisions have been made, which again reinforces this was all political theater. It was all political theater. We're going to take another break for commercials. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website, by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, the number 2, keep it today.
Extendivite 7-herb formulation is approved to help maintain cardiovascular health and help lower blood lipid levels in adults. Extendivite is made from hawthorn, garlic, valerian, cayenne, bilberry, ginkgo biloba, and milk thistle. The herbs at Extendivite have been chosen for their ability to help with overall health. Many people have reported improved energy and stamina in just a few months. If you think you could feel just a little bit better, then Extendivite may just be for you. Extendivite is an all-natural supplement. Extendivite is only $69.95 for a 2-month supply. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com. That's HEARTDROP.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
It's happening, ladies and gentlemen. We here at RBN are working with Front Sight Firearms Training Institute to bring our audience the best in combat, tactical, and defensive firearms training. Whether you're a private citizen who is new to firearms or you have a concealed weapon permit and want a level of training that surpasses what you've received from your local gun range, Front Sight provides priceless education and skills taught by seasoned law enforcement, military, and private citizen instructors to levels that far exceed law enforcement and military standard. With nearly 1 million responsible citizens trained from every town, city, and state from across the United States, Front Sight has bolstered the Patriot movement to a whole new level. Contact Dan Sutterfield by phone at 573-762-2356 or 573-465-2356 or shoot him an email at domedan, DOMEDAN, @hotmail.com. This is a limited time opportunity. Don't miss it.
We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight. Women.
Welcome back to our show here. We're still talking about COVID-19. And apparently out in Dakota County, they have found a restaurant owner, Alibi Drinkery, in contempt, and they are fining him $3,000 per day for violations of the COVID-19 restrictions here. And the fine will have to be paid for each day Alibi is open for indoor dining in violation of the executive orders coming from Governor Tim Walz. My mistake. Okay, now the South African COVID variant has been detected in New Zealand's first case in 2 months after a traveler from London via Spain and the Netherlands. This is now sparking a travel ban with Australia. Okay, now this is rather interesting, okay? And it has to do with the link theorized between vaccines and autism. And of course, the CDC has always said vaccines do not cause autism over and over and over again. But now they have removed that statement from its website. Apparently, there has been a legal challenge questioning the assertion that vaccines do not cause autism. Now, the change was actually made last August with no announcement, was only noticed more recently, and it followed a lengthy legal battle with the group Informed Consent Action Network that began all the way back in 2017. So there are some people out there trying to right some of these wrongs from these corporations here. All right, the world's 10 richest people, including Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, and Bill Gates, have seen their collective wealth increase by $500 billion since the COVID pandemic began, according to a new report. They just somehow knew where to put their investment money here. Turning to the international news, Biden's, just now in the White House, and apparently, according to the Syrian state news outlet Sana, a U.S.-led military convoy of about 40 vehicles entered northeastern Syria from Iraq last Thursday, and apparently it passed through the Al-Walid border crossing. Now, convoys frequently transit between Iraq and Syria, are often reported by Sana, but apparently the previous week, Sana reported a U.S. military convoy consisting of 60 vehicles entered Syria through Al-Walid. Some reports said 200 U.S. troops arrived in Syria's northeastern Hasaka province in helicopters, but nothing has yet to be confirmed. But it looks like things are heating up in Syria again. Pardon me. According to a ex-diplomat, J. Michael Springman, apparently the U.S. is now plundering Syrian oil to send to Israel. And this is claimed by J. Michael Springman, a former U.S. diplomat to Saudi Arabia. And he says the United States of America is moving soldiers from Iraq, which it's occupying, to Syria, which it continues to occupy, in order to steal Syrian oil from the Syrian people and send the oil somewhere else, presumably the apartheid entity. Very good question here. This is coming from resistancenews.org. Why doesn't Syria retaliate to all these attacks by Israel? And apparently Nasrallah has basically come back and said, they're playing, chess here. The U.S. and Israel play poker. The resistance axis plays chess. And they're not going to do a move that will precipitate an escalation of the war, which is exactly what Israel is trying to do. Over in Russia, they're out there bashing Russia again over Alexei Navalny. And so business is going back to usual regarding Russia. Bad Russia. And over in Russia, a top Russian lawmaker has condemned last Saturday's sizable pro-Navalny protests as being foreign-backed, and basically saying that foreign actors are there trying to provoke another color revolution inside Russia. And Moscow is seeing U.S. support for these unauthorized rallies in Russia as direct meddling in their internal affairs, according to the Russian Foreign Ministry. Okay. Down in Africa, Uganda says troops kill 189 al-Shabaab in an attack on a South Somalia base. They did a 24-hour operation against the base in southern Somalia, claiming they killed 189 militants and destroyed the base. They said no Ugandan troops sustained casualties and denied there were any civilian deaths. We've heard that one before, of course. Now, there was actually an attack on the Saudi capital, and apparently this group calling itself the Righteous Promise Brigades has claimed responsibility for the recent attack on Riyadh. Nobody's heard of these people before, but they released a statement back on the 23rd, and they said they'd attacked Riyadh with a number of kamikaze drones. And according to the group, the attack targeted several positions in the Saudi capital, including the Al Yamana Palace, the official residence and office of the King of Saudi Arabia, and seat of the royal court. So there's a new player in the region. Meanwhile, Saudi airstrikes have killed 34 Houthis in central Yemen. Apparently, they conducted an airstrike against a Houthi convoy in the central Ma'arib province, killed 34 fighters, destroyed 3 military vehicles, which were attempting to transport them to the front line. Now, Ma'arib is a long contested territory, one of several routes through which the Saudis tried to advance on the capital. As with other attempts, the fighting has come to a stalemate, and the situation is unresolved. All right, the chief of Israel's Mossad is to meet with Biden to press Israeli demands on the Iran nuclear deal. Mossad head Yossi Cohen is going to meet with Biden in Washington next month to discuss the Iran nuclear deal and Israel's expectations for any overhaul of the treaty. Now, Cohen is a major ally of Netanyahu. He will be the first senior Israeli official to meet with Biden. And in the first official contact between the Biden administration and the Israeli government, Israeli National Security Advisor Mir Ben Shabbat and his counterpart Jake Sullivan spoke by phone on Saturday. Now, Biden's National Security Advisor is vowing to consult Israel on regional issues. And he basically promised his Israeli counterpart that the United States will closely consult with Israel on all matters of regional security. Meanwhile, Iran has come on out and said they want to go back to the nuclear deal that they already agreed to. And, you know, as a candidate for president in 2016, Trump pledged to stop wasting American blood and treasure on wars in West Asia. During his time in office, Trump instead further trapped the United States in the region and inflamed divisions to the point where a minor incident might quickly spread out of control and lead to a major war. Well, Trump himself was the victim of propaganda and deceptions like the supposed chemical weapons attack in Syria. So basically, you know, the new administration can either embrace the failed policies of the past, or they can try and come up with something a little bit different. Over in Lebanon, Israeli jets have carried out some of their biggest air raids yet in Syria, basically striking Iranian targets, but they overfly Lebanon to get there, and it's basically they're flying low, and it just traumatizes the people there. Israel is allowing the United States to deploy an Iron Dome missile defense system in the Gulf. The U.S. is expected to begin deploying the Israeli-manufactured Iron Dome missile defense system in its bases in the Gulf states. I have not heard that the Iron Dome is that good. Anyway. China-Taiwan tensions rise days into the Biden presidency, and the tensions between the U.S. and China have reflected in their policy towards Taiwan, and Biden is facing his first challenge as Taiwan reported 12 Chinese warplanes entering the corner of their airspace on Saturday. Now, the U.S. has responded by rushing the USS Theodore Roosevelt and its carrier group into the South China Sea and reiterating military support for Taiwan. The State Department dismissed the Chinese incursion as an attempt at intimidation. And let's see. U.S. pledges rock-solid commitment to Taiwan's defense after island reports incursion of Chinese bombers and fighter jets. All right, let's talk a little bit about the economic news here. We're coming up, of course, on Super Bowl here. And for the first time since 1983, Anheuser-Busch is not going to be a sponsor for the Super Bowl. Neither will Coke or Pepsi. They're just walking away. They don't think they're going to be the audience to justify the huge ad rates charged by the Super Bowl. And yeah, well, you know, you're paying a price for your wokeness here. Over in Syria, they're issuing a new banknote, a 5,000 Syrian lira note, which went into circulation yesterday. This is the largest denomination in the country, reeling from a decade of conflict and a crippling economic crisis. In 2020, U.S. Treasury federal revenue dropped by 34.7%, the second largest drop in history, just behind what happened in 1929. So there's a warning sign for you. Bitcoin is braced for a huge $4 billion price earthquake this week, and good for them here. A Republican Senator, Mike Rounds, has criticized Joe Biden's revocation of the permit for the Keystone XL pipeline. And basically, we did talk about this before. The oil's going to go to China. It's going to go to other countries. It'll be brought to the U.S. by rail, which is even more dangerous. And of course, it has basically wrecked thousands of jobs across the country. Now, here's an interesting one. Amazon is coming up on a vote for their employees to join a labor union. And apparently, Amazon had requested the U.S. National Labor Relations Board to intervene to halt all mail-in voting on unionization, insisting it be held in person. Apparently, mail-in voting is good enough for the American suckers, but not for Amazon. So they cited serious flaws with mail-in voting procedures, and they're trying to get mail-in voting outlawed for the unionization vote. A little bit of good news for people down there in Texas. Samsung is getting ready to break ground on a $10 billion semiconductor plant. And they're going to be building this in Texas, and they're hoping that this move will win it more U.S.-based client and help it catch up with Taiwan Semiconductor, which is the major player. They're hoping the plant will begin operations as early as 2023. Now, Eurostar is the company that operates the cross-channel chain service through the Channel Tunnel, connects the United Kingdom with France, Belgium, and the Netherlands. It is apparently on the brink of economic collapse. Passenger numbers are down 95% in the final quarter of 2020, and revenues down over 80% over the entire course of the year. It's now on a drip and in need of extra cash. They're saying the situation is now critical. 2.7 million homeowners are still pausing their monthly mortgage bills. It's ugly out there. Oh, but it's all the fault of the coronavirus. It's, we didn't mismanage the national economy. It's not the fault of the private central bank charging interest on everything that moves. Up in Idaho, their state legislature has just voted through a bill using gold and silver to back funds. They know where the future is definitely lying here. Apparently, homeless advocate demonstrators forced their way into the Bellingham, Washington City Hall after the mayor announced plans to move a temporary encampment. Officials had to escort the mayor out of the building after the protesters broke on in. Okay. Joe Biden has ordered the Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents to release all illegal aliens in custody. And they don't even have to have a sponsor. Just let them out. That's what Biden's order said. Even if they don't have any place to go to in this country, just get them out of there. We're going to see crime spike in that part of the country. That's my prediction right now here. Up in Montana, lawmakers are defying Biden. They're getting ready to file a bill so that girls' sports will be protected and that transgender biological males will not be allowed to compete in women's sports. So this is probably going to wind up going all the way to the Supreme Court. Apparently, there was an improvised explosive device reported at a Los Angeles church that was recently criticized for anti-LGBT language by the Southern Poverty Law Center. So the El Monte Police Department and FBI are investigating the explosion and vandalism. This was the First Works Baptist Church, and it's among those that are being criticized by the far left extremists at the Southern Poverty Law Center, which does very little about poverty and doesn't seem to really follow the law itself here. Anyway, this explosion took place on Saturday, and obscenities and the words "get out" were spray painted on the front of the church. Here's a good one here. Over in Portland, remember the calls to defund the police and everything. They disbanded the Portland Gun Violence Reduction Team because of the racism claims. Now there are calls for its restitution because of the increase in black on black violence. A little bit of unintended consequences there. Story coming on out of the nationalpreview.com. Joe Biden's administration will likely continue pursuing the Julian Assange prosecution. Now, they're trying to appeal the British court decision that Assange may not be extradited. So we'll wait and see what's going to happen there. I'm very disappointed that Trump, who pardoned all these rappers and everything, did not pardon Assange for Snowden. I'm going to take a break for commercials. We'll be right back.
Hey, honey, I'm home. I grabbed the newspaper on the way home. Look at all the news today.
The newspaper? Don't you know that all you're going to get in the newspaper is propaganda, twisted news, and false information?
Honey, this is a national newspaper. It has to be true.
Ha! For some reason, a majority of the population believe anything the mainstream media tells them. The newspaper does not give out the important attention on what's happening to this country and news that affects our daily lives. Say, does that newspaper mention anything about the North American Union?
No, not that I can see.
I didn't think so. You need to go to www.newswithviews.com, where truth is more important than political correctness. That's www.newswithviews.com. Hey, don't throw that away. We can use that in the birdcage.
Okay, move over. Let me start reading newswithviews.com.
The truth? Read all about it at newswithviews.com. Newswithviews.com, where reality shatters illusion.
Here at Republic Broadcasting Network, we have been building our online store. Well, we have been focusing on bringing you the best talk show host in the country. Here at Republic Broadcasting Network, we also want our listeners to have products they can use every day and in times of emergency. We have added new products each week to our store. Your support of this network, plus products at the best prices, is a win-win situation. Check out our new store. Go to our website, republicbroadcasting.org, and click on the online store located at the top of our website. Together, we can continue to grow RBN and help our listeners prepare for the future. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and click on our online store or call us.
800-724-2719 extension 3. 800-724-2719 extension 3.
The reviews for Extendivite are amazing. Amazon customer. It's amazing. I just ordered my second bottle. In 1 month, my blood pressure dropped significantly. I no longer get chest pain after I exercise. The reviews are spot on. My target is to get off of BP meds, and if it keeps going like this, I see a light at the end of the tunnel. Amazon customer. Extendivite works great. This product has made my blood pressure and cholesterol stable. I highly recommend it. Amazon customer. Excellent herbal formula. I've been using it to keep my cardiovascular system fine-tuned. Extendivite is only $69.95 for a 2-month supply. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com. That's HEARTDROP.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
What this country is coming to, I sure would like to know. If they don't do something by and by, the rich will live and the poor will die. Doggone, the panic is on. Can't get no way, can't draw no pay. unemployment.
Welcome back to our show here. And we mentioned this earlier in the program, but this is the actual story about this. This is from Breitbart. And apparently, Joe Biden is going to issue an order for United States funding of abortions abroad. And apparently, this is another reversal of a Trump policy. And I think Biden's focus on erasing Trump is tempting him into some bad actions here. But Fauci has announced Biden has signed a letter reversing President Trump's decision to withdraw from and stop funding the World Health Organization, which is a supporter of global abortion rights. And so, as if we didn't have enough problems right now, your tax dollars are going to be going to fund abortions overseas. Getting into political correctness, this is from uns.com. Last year was meant to be a year of celebration for Ludwig van Beethoven, who was baptized 250 years ago. His exact date of birth is unknown. He was baptized on December 17th, 1770. And because of COVID-19, a lot of commemorative concerts for Beethoven's music were canceled. But apparently, anti-white activists attacked the composer's reputation and dominant place in the cultural pantheon in the West, because after all, he's a white guy. And, 2020 saw repeated attacks on Beethoven for the crime of being a white male genius and for embodying the European musical tradition. Well, let's be a little bit honest here. If you want to talk about forcing the European musical tradition on the rest of the world, you blame the accordion. Because when the accordion was invented, it was set to the well-tempered intervals that Johann Sebastian Bach came up with. And as accordions were sold around the world, bands would retune to match those notes. So it was less Beethoven and more the accordion. They don't even understand the history of music when they make these stupid things. Down in Missouri, there is a gun shop that has announced they don't have guns or ammo for Biden supporters. And I think that's kind of cool here. All right, let's talk about a little bit of science and technology here. There is a new board out from Raspberry. It's called the Raspberry Pi Pico, and it's basically a microcontroller, and it's just $4. And, traditionally, Raspberry Pi boards need to be paired with a microcontroller in order to control a physical device like a robot or a weather balloon. The Pico bridges this gap between hardware and software by providing a direct analog connection to the end device. The hobbyists are going to have a field day with this thing. I love the Raspberry products. I really do here. Okay, apparently a hacker has leaked the details of more than 2.28 million users registered on meetmindful.com and just basically dumped their user database. Okay, we got to take a break for station identification. We're going to go ahead and open up the phone lines. Area code 512-248-8252, and we'll be right back.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll-free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
This is RBN, the Republic Broadcasting Network.
Welcome to the Michael Rivero What Really Happened radio program.
Welcome back to our show, hour number 2. The phone lines are open, area code 512-248-8252, and we're going to take a phone call from Mark in North Carolina. Hello, Mark. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind today?
Hey, Mike, first of all, did I hear you right that Fauci got sick from taking that shot?
Yes, he did.
You know, I'll tell you the truth. I'm kind of surprised because I didn't think he really took the shot. I thought that was a scam. All right.
Yeah, well,
did
apparently,
he admit that he got sick or what?
Yeah, he got laid up for 24 hours.
He admitted that because
Yep.
you know the day after he took the shot, he said his arm, he pointed the wrong arm, was a little sore.
Well, this was
But he
his
was laid up
second
for
shot.
24 hours.
This was his second shot.
Oh,
The
he got
one where he
second
did the
shot.
wrong arm,
Hey,
that was his first shot, supposedly, and he got his second shot, and he was just too sick to do anything for like 24 hours.
I didn't think even he was that stupid to actually take the real shot. So that means the guy
He
is
believed
somewhere-
his own
he's
propaganda.
really not- yeah, he's really, you know, he's wicked, but he probably isn't quite as wicked as a guy like Bill Gates because he actually did take the shot. I don't think Gates would really take the shot. I think Gates knows what this thing is. That's kind of surprise. That really surprises me because I thought it was the whole thing was phony. So I don't know where this is going, but he probably would have died if he wasn't. He looks like he's a fairly healthy guy, 80 years old, but he looks like he's in decent shape. He doesn't look like he counts on vaccines and big pharma medication to keep him going. He looks to me like he really does take vitamins and exercises and stuff. That probably saved his life, unlike what happened to poor Hank Aaron there. You know?
Yeah.
Who I think also took a second shot. So I don't know. How long are they going to try to keep this scam going? Evidently, they're backing off now on lockdowns. They admitted the PCR test now. The World Health Organization, the PCR test is nonsense. You know, that it's not. You know, it's not doing. You know, it's completely phony.
They're going to blame Trump for all the adverse reactions to the vaccine.
That's what I think is coming too.
Yeah.
But how many people have to die first, or become very sick, or have, you know, all kinds of possible conditions and all before that happens? But I am really surprised about Fauci. I'll be honest with you. I thought it was a fake, just like I thought, you know, like when Pence took it, I thought that was fake. I think most of these politicians taking it as fake, but I'm surprised. I see that even Biden supposedly took it. They had a picture of him taking it. And as far as I'm concerned, Biden, if he takes a second shot, well, Kamala Harris may be president right there and then. You know?
Yeah, really.
If he really took the shot. I don't believe he took it either. But I'm surprised about Fauci, I'll be honest with you.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Wow. The other thing I want to ask you about is Navalny in Russia. What happened? How come he was arrested? What do you do?
He's an opposition figure, and you know, I'm sure that whatever he was arrested for was just kind of ginned up to sort of take him out because you know, Putin's coming up on another election now, and he doesn't want to have anybody, you know, especially he views Navalny as you know, aligned with the United States, and you know, obviously, you know, that's a concern.
So I watched the Duran sometimes, and they say Navalny isn't even really a concern there. That he's that he's got very few people behind him and all that. He's not really concerned about it. So I'm kind of surprised that happened. But like I said, we of all people have no business talking. Look how they're cracking down on these demonstrators that went in at the Capitol. Even at people who didn't do anything other than walked in, like Dr. Simone Gold. She was arrested, I understand.
Yes.
A couple other people. What's his name? Biggs. Used to be with InfoWars.
Yes.
Veteran. Iraq War veteran. Joe Biggs. So,
yeah.
I mean, so they really, so we have no business to talk about anybody. I mean, this country is becoming a total police state.
Oh, yeah,
right?
it is.
One step
No
away from
question.
becoming total. I just hope people understand we've got to stand up to these people because, this is really coming too close. And Biden, to me, the man is, like I said, he looks to me like a zombie, basically. I don't know whether he's even calling any of his shots or not, So I don't know.
He may not be. I mean, there was that video that surfaced on a hot mic where, Biden is sitting at the desk in the Oval Office and says, I don't know what I'm signing. And somebody else says, sign it anyway.
Oh, my God. Maybe he's going to sign, let the missiles go, let them head towards Russia. Maybe that's the next step. And then, well, you wake up one morning and if you wake up at all, to a bunch of mushroom clouds, This is crazy, man. Where is this? How did this happen? Like, this is what I'd like to know. And by the way, I have to blame a lot of this on Trump.
Yes.
First of all, the vaccine. He pushed that vaccine. Second of all, he could have done something about these crooked elections. He could have done, like years ago, he could have made sure. When he first came in, he could have made sure something like this wouldn't happen. He went along with the lockdown, which he never should have done. That opened the door for the mail-in ballots.
He got played.
And he sure did. And he's, I just want my three amigos there to understand. Please don't push the idea that Trump is such a smart guy and did so much good. He did some good.
Yeah.
Canceling some of these trade agreements. He also kept us in the Middle East, which he shouldn't have done. And now we're seeing an increase in troop strength, which also could lead to war.
Yes.
I don't know how long Russia and Iran is going to let this happen in Syria, it's just, I think so far that's just in the Kurdish area, so-called Kurdish area, which is really part of Syria anyway. It doesn't belong to the Kurds. It belongs to the Syrians. So it's bad news. Like I don't know where we're going. I'm almost ready to turn off completely to politics,
Yeah, I understand that feeling. I mean, Claire's feeling the same thing as well. She's totally burned out on all of this.
Yeah. Unfortunately, though, it does affect us, okay? What these clowns do does affect us. I don't even know if I like to hike up most of the parks around here, most of the mountains around here on National Park, Smoky Mountain National Park.
Yep.
And I don't even know if I can go hiking with a mask now. I meant to try it this weekend. I'm going to try it maybe tomorrow. It's supposed to be nice weather tomorrow. I might try some hiking tomorrow and see if they make me wear a mask or not. So then I can't hike anymore. Well, I can hike, but I won't be able to go to national parks. It's just bad news all around, Mike. It's just military industrial complex, push warmongering. The only good thing about that is it will probably split the Democrats apart because the real the leftist, real hardcore leftist Democrats, they don't want this stuff. They don't want these imperialistic wars. Just the opposite. And that includes something like Antifa doesn't want this garbage, So that might, and you see them already acting up. So it'll probably split the left in half too. But at the same time, conservatives are being split in half too because, am I gonna back somebody like a Romney? Of course not. All right, Tulsi Gabbard, I like what she's saying, but then again, she turned around and supported Biden. Rather than even going third party and saying she's not going to support anybody. So it's hard to say. I don't know which way we're going, Mike. I really don't. Right now, my best bet for 2024, if we have a 2024, at least if we have an election, then would probably be DeSantis of Florida. Okay, maybe Kristi Noem is vice president. So South Dakota, but we'll see, right?
Okay.
Mike.
All right, thanks an awful lot. And we're going to switch over to Marco in Alabama. Hello, Marco. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Nothing much, man. I'm just
okay.
over
Thanks for the
all
call.
the Trump bashing. I'm just over all the Trump bashing, dude. We would have never gotten any of the information and the intel, dude, that we have now had he not gone the way that he had gone. You could sit here and get mad and you could say that I'm wrong all you want, but guess what, dude? Every Saturday at noon, I'm leading a convoy of people, dude, around my city, dude, to continually protest the fact, dude, that this election was stolen. I'm talking about COVID-19. What are you people doing? I'm starting to get sick of calling this show. I'm going to be honest with you, dude, because I'm not hearing any solutions. All I'm just hearing is a bunch of old men complaining and all that stuff, man. And this is not where we need to be. And when we're going to sit here and continue to have divisions over Trump was good, but he didn't do this. Trump was bad, but he didn't do this. Listen, Trump opened the doors to the fact, dude, that you people should not even think about even voting Republican, dude, in the next election, man. These people, dude, are finished, and they know it, and all that stuff, man. And it's people like the callers, dude, that sit here and bash Trump, dude, that are going to be the ones, dude, going back into the Republican establishment like a bunch of idiots. Like a bunch of fools, stoops, and all that stuff, man. I am not voting for these people. I ain't voting for Democrats or anything like that. There better be a Patriot Party, and I'm going to do everything that I can do to try to promote it by going to there, getting people's email addresses and all that stuff. Every time that I'm out on the road and I'm on my truck, dude, and I got my flags out, and we're sitting here talking to people, and they're seeing the caravans, dude, of all of us, we're still doing it. We're still doing it, dude, because you want to know what? When you sit here and you let all of this go, that just means, dude, that you're accepting it. You're accepting the tyranny. You are accepting, dude, your possible injection. You're accepting your children's unemployment and the homeless camps and all of the illegal immigrants and all of that stuff. When you people sit there and do nothing, you are nothing but a bunch of old men, dude, who just sit here and complain. Get up off of your butts, dude. Give to your kids, dude. If you can't fight in this battle, give to somebody who can. And that's all that I'm saying, dude, because I'm tired of this division crap, dude. And I'm tired of hearing old men complain. We're about solutions now. And if you can't figure it out, then stop calling.
Okay, well, thank you for your call. And we're going to switch over to Tom in Florida. Hello, Tom. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind? Tommy, there.
Hear me, Mike?
There you are.
Can you hear me, Mike?
I can hear you now.
Yeah, there I go, Mike. Yeah, Marco made some points about the whole man situation, the whole man in the country. You know, I mean, yeah, Mike. You know, I do my part. I go out there. I tell everybody what's going on. You know me. I'm letting them have it. Both barrels. Look, let's get it back to talking about Chicago. Lightfoot, the Beetlejuice. Another 22 murder shot over the weekend. Okay, 7 dead. And every weekend it's 20, 30. We don't even, it's off the charts, Mike. You know that. Come on, what's going on in Chicago? How come these Democrats are not being arrested, Mike? How come the Democrats are not being arrested? Let's talk about this Capitol riot. Let's talk about this Capitol riot that happened. Like Marco said, it was kind of like a panty raid compared to what these cities are facing right now, Portland and Seattle. Nobody's being arrested. No Democrat has been arrested. Pig Pelosi never got arrested for all the homelessness in San Francisco. Okay, Mike?
Yep.
Now let's go back to bumbling Biden in China. Okay, the Chinese are probably going to attack Taiwan because Biden's weak. The Taiwanese are probably going to have to take on the Red Tommy Chinese. You watch. You mark my word. In about a year less, we're going to be at war with Taiwan. We're not even talking about the little rocket man in North Korea. He knows Biden's 10 times weaker than Trump, so he's going to pull Biden. He's going to pull Biden's plugs out when plugs are going to start pulling his hair out because little rocket man. He probably will shoot off an EMP. That's how crazy this could all end up. And we ain't seen nothing yet, Mike. One EMP over the Midwest, and it's over for all of us, I believe. But now I want to go back. That could happen, but I hope it doesn't happen. But I want to go back to now, Mike, what I really want to talk about. And before I go into the immigration thing, you just said something that's very powerful. Biden, you just said in your monologue, Biden, okay, signed a bill to let all criminal, illegal aliens, Mike, out of all the prisons and all these stockades and stuff. Did you see the murder? Did you see the big murder they had on the border of Texas and New Mexico with all these 22 murdered bodies burned up in these pickup trucks?
Yeah, I
these
saw
SUVs?
that. Yep.
Did you see the footage of it?
Yep.
They actually have footage. Now, this is going to come to a theater near us, Mike. This is going to come here. I'm going to tell you right now, Mike, here in South Florida, I would say 65% of the house, 70% of the households don't even want to speak English. Why should they? They don't have to. They don't want to. They want to keep their identity, their cultural identity. Screw Northern White European founding father types.
Mm-hmm.
They could care less. Like I told you show many a times, Mike, there's the biggest ethnic group as far as a Northern European group came out of Germany. And then the Irish and Scotch are the second, I believe, in English.
Yes.
Okay, so what we're facing here now is total tyranny and a total collapse of our government with bumbling buffoon Biden and that communist Kamala Harris.
Yes.
She's 10,000 times more leftist than Bernie Sanders. Does everybody on your audience understand that?
Yes.
What we're facing here? Now, here's another thing that's a problematic, Mike, is we got these cities, all these cities in the lower 48. We're not counting Anchorage and Alaska and Hawaii and Honolulu. But these lower 48s, if I'm not mistaken, Mike, I got to make sure. I hope you do the figure today or tomorrow. I believe I saw 7,488 murders in 2020.
Yes.
So is that correct, Mike? 7,488 is what I saw.
That's about the number I heard. Yeah.
Okay, so that's almost 8,000, close to 8,000. Okay, and that's not counting all the gunshot wounds that the taxpayers got to pay for. I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was like 11,000 shot with major shot bullet wounds, and these people, a lot of them, half of them probably got catastrophic wounds. We have to pay for this, Mike. Somebody's got to pay for this. Just like you got to pay for all these illegals when they have to get coming through the border. And Mike, right before the coronavirus, you remember a year before the coronavirus hit, that all these kids were dying in, I believe it was Oklahoma. They all came down with mysterious illness. All these young, healthy little kids.
Mm-hmm.
No, you never heard another peep about that.
No, you never did.
You never heard another peep. I was wondering, was that through chemtrails? Are they spraying us? How did the coronavirus get so rapidly?
I'm not on board with the chemtrail theory. I think it's just contrails, and I think chemtrails are one of the things that are put on the internet, like fake Apollo moon landings, to try and make us look really kooky to the average American, so they won't pay attention to us. But after the corporate media committing harakiri this last year, along with the election system, our numbers are definitely up. People are coming on over here. And I'm surprised I'm not seeing more of this chemtrail and fake Apollo moon landings and, UFOs over at Area 15 kind of stuff. Well, actually, I am in my email, but I don't post it.
Well, yeah, Mike, I got to agree. Yeah, maybe it's kind of corny to talk about that, but I do remember that there was 46 kids in Oklahoma. I think it was 20 in one state, and there was another state. I think it was Missouri or somewhere.
Yep.
I think it was like a total of 48 kids that died mysteriously. Now, all these kids were really healthy. They're like, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, and they all died. Just like, boom, like they got hit with some like tuberculosis or something. And you never heard another peep about that. And then, of course, they brought this corona thing in here from the Wuhan flu to take Trump down because Trump was kicking China's butt on trade. And those Chinese said, hell no, you're not going to do that. The red commies don't care if they lose. They don't care if they lose 800 million people, Mike. Like I told your show, there's 55 million more Chinese men in China than there is women. Can you imagine that? If that was here in the United States, there's 3 Anglo-Northern White European women for every white Northern European man. I do believe that's a fact figure. And I mean, I'm not.
Is that why those girls keep pounding on my door?
That could be, Mike. That could be. But and one more thing. I know you got other callers, Mike. And I hope Kevin from West Virginia calls in. I really miss his calls, man. I hope Kevin and I hope Miles gives a call in because and Marco. You got some great callers. There's no question about it. And we haven't heard from Kevin in a while. We also haven't heard from the buddy in New Jersey about what's going on, but maybe he'll explain the mass situation a little better. But yeah, Mike, I just got to say, what's going on with the murder rate, the immigration, and you got this bumbling buffoon in there. This guy looked like the last caller said. This guy or the other caller. This guy looks so weak. It's unbelievable, Mike. Biden looks like he ain't gonna have no energy to confront any of these leaders. You watch. It's just unbelievable. They're going to push him around like I told you the other day. It's just
Yeah. No, he's a
charges.
placeholder. We've known that all along. He's just a placeholder.
Absolutely, Mike. And, we'll see what happens. It's going to be really interesting now here in the next couple of weeks with energy prices. Even the Indian tribes are going nuts.
Yeah.
In New Mexico,
Yep.
I think, Mike, a lot of these people, I'll let you go, but I think a lot of these people are going to have buyer's remorse. Everybody's going to have buyer's remorse.
It's already happening. Already happening. All right. Well, listen.
That's right. That
thank
buyer's
you for the
remorse is
phone
going to
call,
hit like a ton of
Tom.
bricks.
Tom, we got to let you go. Got to take a break for commercials. Got more callers waiting on the line, and we will be right back.
Have you been looking for a trusted long-term storable food company? We have a solution for you. Simply Clean Foods is dedicated to providing the best quality food you can buy next to fresh from a farmer's market. Our line of resealable fruits, vegetables, and meats are suitable for everyday use, and you won't have to worry about throwing away valuable groceries ever again. Our food is completely GMO-free, and our stringent quality controls, plus testing for heavy metals, makes us unique in the storable foods market. Simply Clean Foods' primary focus is to bring clean food to people all around the world and change the way we look at freeze-dried food in our daily cooking. When you purchase from simplycleanfoods.net, not only will you be receiving high-quality food, but you will also be supporting veterans in need across the country and those who are affected by natural disasters. Right now, Amazon Prime members will receive fast 2-day shipping. Go to simplycleanfoods.net. That's simplycleanfoods.net. But do it today.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
Born in the city with a silver spoon, great-grandson of the oil tycoon, raised by wolves, thinks he owns the moon, socialist banker to the one world goons, Davy Rockefeller, chairman of the CFR.
Welcome back to our show here. And before we go back to the phones here, speaking of the lovely Lady Claire, and I know a lot of you miss her being here on Fridays, but she's working on other projects. There is a new video in the Claire's Corner section of the What Really Happened website, so you can take a look at that. And if you have any suggestions for topics that Claire should be looking at, just email them to me and I will forward them along. Going back to the phones here, we're going to go to Miles in Maine. Hello, Miles. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Aloha, Michael.
Aloha.
You know,
New week.
our friend there, our friend in North Carolina there, I just don't think he gets it. I mean, he was against Trump before Trump got elected. He was against Trump while Trump was elected. He's still here banging on Trump. And, you know, we got a much more severe case here to worry about. And as Tom would say, good call, by the way, by Tom. Great passion by our friend there in Alabama, Marco. But, you know, as Tom would say, bumbling Biden, you know, and he's still worried about Trump, you know, and I don't know where he gets his information, but last time I checked, there were significantly less troops in the Middle East and abroad everywhere than there were before Trump took over.
Well, it's kind of a double shuffle there regarding Afghanistan because they're pulling the regular U.S. Army forces out, but they're sending in what the Pentagon calls contractors, who basically do the same job only for a lot more money.
Well, okay, but still, he said he'd pull the troops out. He's pulled significant numbers of troops out all over the Middle East, all over everywhere practically. And that's what he said he would do. He didn't say he would solve everything. And, you know, as we've seen, the people who don't stand with him, the media, nobody stands with him, his own party, the Democrats, what he's been under fire. Are you kidding me? The accomplishment rate for, if you give it the degree of difficulty test, are you kidding? He's done more than Clinton, Obama, Bush, Reagan, all of them put together. All of them.
Okay.
You know, Biden just lost close to what, 200,000 jobs, 150,000 jobs this week?
Yeah, he just wiped out a whole bunch of jobs, you know, in his first 3 days in office.
And our friend in North Carolina is so worried about Tulsi Gabbard. She showed her hand. She showed what she's about. She supported Biden.
Yes.
So I really don't understand him. You know, Trump's kept us out of war. He's kept us from getting in wars that others have encouraged.
Yes.
Yeah, he made some bad appointments, but who knows what's going on behind the scenes? And that's another thing. I don't think he has any practical political assessment skill or experience.
No, he was
because
very naive coming into the Oval Office. But if he ever gets back in there, you know, I'm sure he will have learned from his mistakes.
I'm talking about our North Carolina friend, because when you take something that still these people view as popular,
yes,
this vaccine, regardless of the people that died, I'm talking to people all the time, and they think this is just marvelous. Okay, you don't just go against that. It's not good political sense. You know what I mean? It's not good political sense to say, I'm never going to do a damn thing for Israel again. You know what I mean? You just don't do it that way. You know? But, you know, Trump surrounded, look at these advisors now that are surrounding Biden. But
yes,
you talk about Trump and all that. Trump got saddled down, and I remember this in 84 or in 80 when Reagan was running. They wanted Pat Buchanan. Everybody wanted Pat Buchanan, and it was coming down to Pat Buchanan. And at the last second, the globalists saddled him up with Papa Doc Bush.
Yeah.
So do you think Reagan was sitting there cheering up and down with pom poms for Bush? He didn't even endorse him when Bush ran. So I don't think the guy in North Carolina understands these things. You don't just run around here. Your political life is not long for the world, and you'll just be another formally elected whatever you are, unless you do things in a gradual manner. And look how they've done it. They didn't do things right away. They've done it in a gradual manner for what? Decades, half century, a century, and look where they're at now.
Yes.
They're knocking on the doorstep here, threatening to take every one of our rights. So I don't think the solution is to keep banging on Trump and neglecting his accomplishments. You know, I mean, I could list tons and tons of things like Marco could, or Tom, or a lot of these guys. You know, I mean, look at some of these things Trump did to put the Federal Reserve underneath the Treasury. Who would have ever dreamed we'd see that in our lifetime? Even Ron Paul wouldn't have believed that would ever happen.
Yes.
So, Trump has done a lot of good. And as Marco said, he's the one who's exposed this media. He's the one who's made this media accountable. And, of course, with guys like you, Michael, and independent media. But, anybody who, when Trump's on the mainstream news on Fox or any of those, corporate shows, and he's telling them this media is fake news, hey, that's hitting home with some people that aren't only his supporters. That's hitting home with all kinds of people around this world looking at the U.S. political scene.
Yes.
So, I think we need to temper all this and keep it all in perspective. Nobody's had more enemies than Trump. You don't make that many enemies, if you're not doing something good. And like Trump said in one of those final speeches in the last few months before the election, he said, I'm making enemies with some very powerful people. Thank you,
Miles, I'm going to have to let you go. We got to take another break for commercials. We'll be right back with more phone calls.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, keep it today.
Hello, I'm Dr. Leonard Horowitz. I was right 30 years ago in warning the world about threatening lab virus outbreaks, AIDS, and Ebola. I was right 20 years ago when FBI Director Robert Mueller made me a suspect in the anthrax mailings because I warned the Bureau before the CIA's biocrime and Cipro sales psyops happened. I was right about COVID-19 being an AIDS-laced mutagen plan to resurge this fall to excuse officials' profitable depopulation globalization agendas. And I was right about the only safeguards being antioxidants and holy spiritual sustenance. Vitamin C, D, zinc, chlorophyll, oxygen, and oxysilver especially transmits the frequency resonance to neutralize the expanded function bioweapon. Oxysilver is a double superconductor of the healing power of love. It is the first nutraceutical invented to amplify prayer power and the faithful, loving intention of your heart. Buy, try, and stockpile Oxysilver through HealthyWorldStore.com.
Extendivite 7-herb formulation is approved to help maintain cardiovascular health and help lower blood lipid levels in adults. Extendivite is made from hawthorn, garlic, valerian, cayenne, bilberry, ginkgo biloba, and milk thistle. The herbs at Extendivite have been chosen for their ability to help with overall health. Many people have reported improved energy and stamina in just a few months. If you think you could feel just a little bit better, then Extendivite may just be for you. Extendivite is an all-natural supplement. Extendivite is only $69.95 for a 2-month supply. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com. That's HEARTDROP.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Some are maxed out all their credit cards. Some are working 2 jobs and living in cars. Minimum wage won't pay for a roof, won't pay for a drink. If you gotta have proof, just try it yourself, Mr. CEO. See how far $5.15 an hour will go. Take a part-time job at one of your stores. I bet you can't make it here anymore.
Welcome back to our show here. We're going to go right back to the phones to Al in Canada. Hello, Al. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind today?
Hi, Mike.
Hi.
Apparently, Biden has upped the ante to 1.5 million doses of this therapeutic a day now.
Okay.
And obviously, he initially had a 1 million target that was already reached.
Yes.
Under the Trump administration. So this 1.5 million doses a day was actually reached on Inauguration Day.
Yes.
So what's that old saying, Mike? A day late and a dollar short?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So
not to mention being out of touch.
He's just bumbling all over the guy's a stumble bum.
Yes.
Right? I mean, I'm not when I say that, I'm not putting him down because I mean he definitely has, his mental faculties are fading.
Yes.
He's an older fella, and it just happens. I mean, it can happen to people even younger than him, but he has no business being in that position.
No, he doesn't.
Too bad. It's too bad.
Too bad for the country.
I'm sure that a lot of people would agree with me. I think you stated earlier that people are having buyer's remorse.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, I live in a country. I've had buyer's remorse on some of these politicians for decades now. And,
yes.
The last good politician in this country, Mike, was the Premier of Ontario. He was there for about 6 years. He stepped down and went back to the private sector.
Mm-hmm.
After turning the province around that I live in. He turned it around. After the NDP came in and doubled the debt in less than 4 years. And they got absolutely nothing done except, a lot of chaos that they created.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's all I had to say. I just noticed that. I wasn't even going to call it, but I just happened to look at this and wow, 1.5 million, and they have already reached it. So here's the funny thing, though, Mike. Here's the real funny thing.
Yeah.
Your country could reach herd immunity by the summer.
Yes.
Because of this vaccine. It's not a vaccine.
No, it isn't.
It's a therapeutic.
It's a medical device.
No. Yeah, and they really don't know what they're doing. They really don't. Otherwise, people wouldn't be dying. There wouldn't be all these adverse reactions, Bell's palsy, whatever else. The only one that might have any hope would be that one from Johnson & Johnson, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because it's supposed to actually be based on, this virus, either a dead or attenuated sample of it. But even then, Mike, we already know it's already mutating. So this is another, like, trying to vaccinate people against the cold or the flu. I mean, pick a card, any card.
Yeah, very much so.
Right? And you can't lock the country down because people that honestly either don't take care of themselves or have lost the ability to take care of themselves through age.
Yeah.
Haven't been making good decisions in their life. You can't target everybody and say, well, you've got to go hide someplace so that these people over here, they'll be okay. If you want to run a country like that, well, it's not going to be a country for very long.
No, it isn't.
It'll just tear itself apart, and it's happening. It's happening all over the world, Mike.
It's happening in Europe.
Yep. Anyway, that's all I have. I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much for the phone call. We're going to switch over to Stuart in Maine. Hello, Stuart. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
How you doing? How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing fine.
Okay, good. I just want to touch on this since Miles brought it up again. I don't know what the problem is with people who constantly get on Mark from North Carolina's case. The man says it's better than Biden. That Trump is better than Biden, but Trump has these weaknesses. Now, if he comes under attack from that, then the people who attacked him are part of a cult. you can't criticize.
Well, yeah, I'm sort of aligned with him on that. In that, I would have preferred Trump over Biden, but I had some disappointments with Trump, and I'm opposed to politicians having a personality cult attached to them, where all these followers are saying they can do no wrong, they can do no wrong. Yeah, sure they can. I mean, we're setting this person up to be a god, but all gods have feet of clay.
Right, and the thing is that people like Miles and Tom in Florida, they don't want to recognize this. You're not allowed to say anything bad about Trump. But okay, the main reason I called was, this talk about another party and about elections.
Mm-hmm.
There's no more elections. There's no more elections at the federal level. You just had an election a landslide stolen from you.
Yes.
What are you talking about elections? That's over. Maybe you can do it at the local level. Maybe. That remains to be seen. So that should be the focus. And that leads to the other thing. I think one of the problems at RBN is, they don't talk about strategy and tactics as far as, that I can see. Information is only half the equation. Okay?
Okay.
And RBN does a good job. RBN does a good job of that. But I don't hear too much talk about strategy and tactics. And Marco was bringing it up, but I don't know what Marco is getting so self-righteous about. I mean, he should cool it down a little bit, because running around with a sign protesting the elections, they don't care with your signs and your little protests.
Mm-hmm.
They laugh at you. That's going.
Well,
nowhere.
we reach far more people with our radio network and our websites than he's going to reach with his little caravan of cars. That's the cold, hard reality.
Yeah. Whoa, I'm barely hearing you. You're fading out a bit. But the thing is, what I would say to people who want to do something and criticize others, let us know. Let us know what your success is, and then get on your high horse. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But that's about it. That's all I wanted to say.
All right. Well, thank you very much for the phone call. We're going to switch to Paul in New Jersey. Hello, Paul. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello, Michael.
Hello.
Hey, for any of you, the swarthy listeners out there, I think Anthony Blinken, who's our Secretary of State, I think he's going to be hiring him and Victoria Nuland both. They're going to be looking to probably reconstitute ISIS. They worked for the Israeli operatives so well last month.
Mm-hmm.
And and I think they're going to also look for Nazi radicals, but only in the Ukraine and Belarus, and maybe even Russia, to just cause trouble. Because that's what it seems like they're going to fall back on. They're going to fall on the old neocon playbook, which is similar to what, was run under Pompeo. They're going to export color revolutions,
mm-hmm.
try to stir up trouble in Hong Kong, and like pretend like they care about the Uyghurs in Western China. They'll do that. And that's why these people like the Blinkens and Newlands, they're just like total cutthroats. They're Jewish supremacists,
mm-hmm.
and they just love getting. And what Jewish supremacists love to do more than anything is to get Gentiles to slaughter each other while they sit back and enjoy their kosher popcorn. And that's what's going to be happening. Now, as for ourselves, we jaded Americans who are a little too hip. I mean, we knew what the problems were Trump with. And I urge the other Republicans out there to just sit back and enjoy your popcorn, guys. First of all, tell any family members of yours not to enlist in the military, and if you're up for signing up for another stint, not to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, these guys, even in the, who we saw patrolling and sleeping on the concrete over at the Capitol building, these guys they were mostly white, and here they are. Are you going to really volunteer to serve this Biden character? You know, you're going to die for that guy?
Yeah.
You know, since Biden loves the minorities so much, let him just pack the military up with trannies and the minorities and let them have it. There's no reason to join.
He's already started.
Serve global. What? Huh?
He's already started. He's rescinded Trump's ban on transgenders serving in the military.
Which, by the way, I'm for in a way now that it makes sense. Anything to demoral this demonic military event of ours, anyway. Because let's remember, George Washington, and I would argue with the Fourth Amendment, almost alludes to, Third Amendment, that you don't have to house military people.
Mm-hmm.
I think, that our founders did not intend for us to keep a perpetual military at taxpayers' expense, running around and playing army games as such, being the tax burden that they are. You know,
yeah, there was not supposed to be a standing army. Where the federal government was only supposed to raise an army in time of war, and at all of the times, the army was to be disbanded. But of course, that went away a long time ago.
Yeah, so when I saw the guys from even the National Guard in the Capitol, and you heard them complaining because, God forbid, they're in the National Guard and they have to suffer by sleeping on a concrete floor for a night or two. I mean, please. You know what I mean?
Well, it certainly shows a certain disrespect for the men in the uniform. I'm sorry, my sympathies are with those National Guardsmen who should have been better cared for.
Well, who was running their operation? They should complain to their bosses for not bringing a few yoga mats with them to sleep on. Come on, bunch of babies. It's like most campers. I mean, just bring your own camping supplies, guys. I mean, please, come on. You're in the military or the National Guard. You're supposed to be a tough guy. And besides, I don't need any of them. I don't need these guys to protect me. I don't need them over in Syria. And I don't need Joe Biden or Anthony Blinken running up whatever they're going to instigate over there.
Okay.
Well, one thing about the Democrats, at least I know, and what we learned under Obama, at least they wreck Middle Eastern nations on the cheap.
Yeah.
In other words, they just instigate it, and they get ISIS to do the wrecking for us. That moron George Bush ran up several trillion in debt, wrecking Iraq and Afghanistan. And
well,
don't
forget that huge debt run up by 12 years of Reagan, Bush the Elder for that whole Star Wars project. I mean, they just, that was the period where the United States went from the world's largest creditor nation to the world's largest debtor nation.
Exactly. And it didn't help with Mr. Trump's spending either, with his running up the debt. And so then the Republicans wonder why we're disenfranchised with them, or why a guy like me is disenfranchised or hostile towards Donald Trump. And so if Joe Biden comes in there and tries to at least not run up the debt like Trump did, I might end up liking him. But I don't really like the vindictive nature of what are obviously Jewish supremacists running the State Department, trying to meddle and destroy the Middle East just for Israel. I never asked for this. I didn't vote for it. But at least, in my point, the one thing we can salvage out of this, the disenfranchised voters who lean towards the right, is that at least we're going to be able to watch the Democrats savage each other, because already, right now, and I've said on your show, the first act of an elected president is to kick his core constituency in the teeth. And already, Mr. Biden is doing that.
Yep.
And even Democrats are not going to be able to tolerate what Biden is doing. And before you know it, Antifa and BLM will be protesting out in the streets against the Democratic Party.
The Democratic headquarters in Portland got trashed Obviously, the romance is over. Anyway, Paul, we're getting close to the end of the show, and I still got a bunch of callers here. So thank you for the call, and we're going to switch over to Joe in California. Hello, Joe. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. Yeah, that was a great call. That was a great call. Great call by Paul. I couldn't agree with him more. The U.S. has become the new USSR.
Yes, it is.
USSR was the empire formerly that would export revolution. Now it's the U.S.
Yes.
But also, Mike, on that Samsung story in Texas, I'm wondering if most of those people who are going to work at that factory are going to be H-1B visa holders.
It could be an issue. I imagine some will be because of the educational needs, but most of the chip making is basically just sitting there and feeding silicon slabs into what essentially amounts to a punch press.
All right. And then as far as Miles, I mean, he's an intelligent guy, but lay off of Mark. I mean, all Mark is saying is, look, Trump is preferable to Biden, but Trump also has his faults. That's all he's saying. I mean, we're allowed to criticize the guy. I mean, Miles points to Trump saying, "Oh, I've got a lot of powerful enemies." Yeah, and you know what he did? He appointed them to his cabinet.
Yes.
So, and also Miles talks about he was wrong about Reagan. I don't know if he's referring to Reagan. Reagan in 1980, there was talk in Detroit about him appointing Gerald Ford as his vice president. There was talk about a co-presidency. Buchanan, he's completely wrong. Buchanan wasn't even in the discussion. It was Gerald Ford, and then he finally went with George H.W. Bush, the father. But
yes.
Reagan and Trump have a lot in common because Reagan, if you remember in that 1980 campaign, was railing against Carter for all of his CFR and Trilateral Commission people in his cabinet, in his administration. Yes. And then Reagan did the same thing. Reagan was seen pictured with David Rockefeller in Virginia in September of 1980 of that year. So Reagan ended up appointing CFR guys and Trilateral guys to his administration. So they all do the same thing. And Trump was going to drain the swamp. He didn't drain the swamp.
Joe, I got to let you go. We got to take a commercial break. We got one more caller waiting on the line. We'll be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We have a special promotion going on at Republic Broadcasting. This is a fundraiser for Republic Broadcasting involving the Energy Cleaner. Mail me a postcard. My address is at my website at thelibertyman.com. We pick a postcard every other Thursday. When your postcard is drawn out, you get to buy an energy cleaner for $215 instead of $285, $70 discount. $200 goes to Republic Broadcasting. You also get a 10% discount on my mattress pads. So get those postcards in, put your name, your telephone number, your email address on there, and when your postcard is drawn, you get to get an energy cleaner for $215 instead of $285. Mattress pads, 10% off. Help us out at Republic Broadcasting and help yourself to get an energy cleaner at a deep discount. It's a win-win situation for everybody. We hope you can get these postcards in soon. Thank you very much.
The reviews for Extendivite are amazing. Amazon customer. It's amazing. I just ordered my second bottle. In 1 month, my blood pressure dropped significantly. I no longer get chest pain after I exercise. The reviews are spot on. My target is to get off of BP meds, and if it keeps going like this, I see a light at the end of the tunnel. Amazon customer. Extendivite works great. This product has made my blood pressure and cholesterol stable. I highly recommend it. Amazon customer. Excellent herbal formula. I've been using it to keep my cardiovascular system fine-tuned. Extendivite is only $69.95 for a 2-month supply. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com. That's HEARTDROP.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We have a special promotion going on at Republic Broadcasting. This is a fundraiser for Republic Broadcasting involving the Energy Cleaner. Mail me a postcard. My address is at my website at thelibertyman.com. We pick a postcard every other Thursday. When your postcard is drawn out, you get to buy an energy cleaner for $215 instead of $285, $70 discount. $200 goes to Republic Broadcasting. You also get a 10% discount on my mattress pads. So get those postcards in, put your name, your telephone number, your email address on there, and when your postcard is drawn, you get to get an energy cleaner for $215 instead of $285. Mattress pads, 10% off. Help us out at Republic Broadcasting and help yourself to get an energy cleaner at a deep discount. It's a win-win situation for everybody. We hope you can get these postcards in soon. Thank you very much.
We are living in dangerous days, and I am frightened by what you say. It chills right to the core. This talk of holy.
Welcome back to our show, last segment of our program, and our last caller today is Layla in Canada. Hello, Layla. Welcome back to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, hi, Mike. It's always distressing to hear people talking about the current president or the one before. The Americans have lost control of their government from the time of Grosvenor, President Grosvenor, who was under the influence of Jacob Schiff, who was there under the directions of the Rothschilds because they all had lived in the same household. And Jacob Schiff persuaded Grosvenor to allow tons of Russian Jews to come into the U.S. There was the initial buildup of the Democratic base. So it's basically the same thing going on. And Wilson was supposedly in a coma for, a year. Truman was bought and bribed by the two Supreme Court justices, Felix Frankfurter and Louis Brandeis, both of whom had been presidents of the World Zionist Organization. We know Trump was in the pocket of Netanyahu. We know Biden is there too. It's a very big pocket. So it's nothing new. Americans lost control of their government long ago, and it may be even before the days of Grosvenor. But it's just very tragic unless the U.S. begins to demand single citizenship and gets all the Israelis out of the major institutions like the CIA, the FBI, and everything else, and out of the military, and out of the presidential office, out of the White House. Unless you get Israelis out of there, all of them are Mossad plants. Everybody who is an Israeli citizen is a tool of the Mossad, if the Mossad wants them, or else they're killed. And
well, you know what really concerns me is we're seeing the Jewish influence in the United States today mirror what was going on in Germany in the 1930s that triggered eventual backlash. We could see that happen here.
It's going to happen unless Americans act very quickly. And Americans are innovative. They are strong people, and it is time for them to take back their country. Trump with his big bravado slogan, "Take back America," or "Take America back," the correct grammatical way to say it, by the way, is just all talk. He was a blowhard. So forget about how good or how bad this president is or that president is. The satanic influences within the U.S. administration and all of its primary institutions has already enslaved many Americans and destroyed many lives. Never mind what they've done in the Middle East.
Have you seen how many dual citizens are in Biden's cabinet?
Well, no, I haven't, but I would expect all of them are loyal to Israel, whether or not they have to.
Yeah, pretty much all of them. Okay, Layla. Got to let you go. We're at the end of the program. You got to call in a little earlier tomorrow. And apologies here. Stay tuned for John Stadmiller. I'm sure he's got lots of interesting things to share with you. Please spread the word of public broadcasting. Spread the word of whatreallyhappened.com. Please donate. We'll see you tomorrow. Aloha, America.